Welcome to the LynnSanity podcast with Caleb Lynn, a part of the Running Hook Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the LynnSanity podcast, a part of the Running Hook Podcast Network. And what an incredible NCAA tournament. Really, this first weekend has been nothing short of just fantastic matchups, upsets. You name, stars. You got, just the unexpected of March. I mean, this has been beyond anyone's imagination. Every bracket is busted at this point. Basically busted like Doug Marrone was. It just completely busted. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, Bryce Shadday. Bryce, look, this has been an incredible NCAA tournament. I think none of us could have expected some of these upsets here. Come on now.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think I'm going to retire from filling out brackets. This is ridiculous. I try to convince myself every year that it's going to be better, and it never is. And I'm just sick of it. Caleb, I got to say I'm disappointed in you because I didn't get an early 2000s reference. Instead, I got Doug Marrone.
Well, I was told to not give the early 2000s reference. And, the other thing is I don't want to have you flash back too much or else you'd see Ohio State get beat by Oral Roberts. Alex,
come on.
Alex Burr is going to be a guest on this pod today. Alex, he has been actually a part of a team of us that have been on this podcast many, many times. Myself, Alex Burr, Devin Voss, Nicole Wrights have all been covering the NCAA. Reed, sorry, has all been a part of the NCAA. My apologies. NCAA. I went to a high school called Wrights High School. That's why I flipped it. It's Alex. This is a privilege to have you on. You covered some first round games in this NCAA tournament, so you're bringing an in-person perspective to the podcast, and so am I. The two of us, it'll be good, because I think it'll give the audience and hopefully it'll give these listeners and viewers an understanding of what's happening in college basketball right now.
Oh, it was Caleb. First of all, you and Bryce, thank you for having me on LynnSanity. I'm not the college basketball experts that you guys are by any means. Big money Bryce out here doing big things. I'll let him say what he's up to. But I thought covering the NCAA tournament, being in person, seeing like these great basketball players and some of them not so great basketball players, but seeing them in person and getting to have some semblance of fans in the arena, while it was kind of conflicting because it's like, okay, we shouldn't have this many fans in here, especially for Grand Canyon, where literally it felt like they had brought 1,000 people of their own. But
they chartered 2 planes.
Yeah, that was that. You want to talk about the in-person experience? It was like being at a regular old game, how loud Grand Canyon was. Like they were properly, there was 1 seat between every student. So they were fine, but it was just I got there. I didn't get there as early as I wanted to, right? I got there right when Iowa ran out on the court and they got cascaded with booze. Like it was like, what? I had to do a double check. I'm like, how many people are here? But it was a fun experience getting to have those kind of moments, especially during this past year when just everything's gone so off kilter. I love that experience. So shout out to Malcolm and the whole IUPUI journalism department.
Absolutely. That's how we were able to get this going and underway. So without further ado, let's talk some basketball, because there were some teams that came to this NCAA tournament and came out like Lizzo did. She basically came out and just dominated the charts. And for teams like Abilene Christian and for teams like North Texas, they decided to pull it off and have one-hit wonders. They came out, beat Texas, beat Purdue in the first round. It's incredibly nuts. And so, Alex, I want to start with you on this. With all of these insane upsets, what are the upsets from this weekend that stuck out to you? And just in general, how did you look at these, really what's been happening since this first weekend.
So the first round, right, I was at the games. I was not at the second round games because I will be covering later on in the NCAA tournament. So I think Malcolm put me off so that way more people could cover earlier games, right?
Sure.
So I didn't get to experience a whole lot of the early round upsets, but when I saw that Oral Roberts upset Ohio State, I did a double take. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Kevin O'Banner, baby.
Why does that one stick out to you, AB? I swear
because
you did this
I watched,
on purpose.
Okay, no. I watched Illinois earlier in the day, right? And they waxed Drexel. They waxed Drexel. And by the way, I know they put up a stinker in the second game, which I'll talk about in a second.
Yeah.
But I watched this team that barely beat Ohio State, waxed Drexel. So I was surprised when I found out that Oral Roberts took out their knees like Caleb did in his intro to the pod for you, Bryce. But it was just that was one that stood out to me. Purdue losing because Dylan Hughes and I haven't watched a single Purdue game all year, but by proxy, since he's my co-host, I root for Purdue. Those were two of the bigger shocking ones. Really, the Big Ten just laying a fat giant L as a whole this weekend.
Jeez.
The Big Ten as a conference took a massive L, and the Pac-12 as a conference took a major W, which based on the way people have been talking about them all year, you would have thought been the absolute opposite case. But to me, the biggest upset, and I don't even know if it's an upset because you could just say they're flat better than them, was just Loyola Chicago taking a crowbar and hitting Illinois across the face with it.
Fighting Illini. That's right. Where's your boy?
I picked him in my bracket too, but holy shit, Krutwig is good.
Dude, he's great.
Bryce, really you threw out Jokic in the group chat, and I disagree.
Yeah, baby.
Because, I disagree only because
it's embarrassing to Jokic. It's embarrassing.
He didn't take any jump shots, which is what makes Jokic so special. But it's Jokic's passing combined with the rest of Nurkic's game. To me, I watched that game, right? And I kind of watch these through a NBA analytical lens, which of these guys can play in the NBA and which of them can't. I like Krutwig as an NBA prospect better already than Luka Garza. Off of seeing him for one game, I think Krutwig is going to come in and he's a
nice take.
He can come in and he's going to be better than Luka Garza. He can actually move his feet on defense. This dude, Kofi Coburn, is not a joke. He is good. He is very good. He's very big, but he was having his way with him. He was making touch passes. He was slinging the ball over the court. He was calling for post-ups against Kofi. He just had his way with him. And that was really the upset that stood out to me because Loyola Chicago, to me, I'm booking it. I'm not putting in the sound because I don't have time for that, but I'm locking it in. They're making the Final Four.
Ooh, icy. We weren't even asking for Final Four.
I like how he just slid that in there. Now, one other thing. So the two upsets that he's pretty much referring to was obviously Oral Roberts beating Ohio State, but then Loyola Chicago beating Illinois. And just to give my perspective before I let Bryce answer it, I was at the Loyola Chicago Illinois game, and let me tell you something. From the first 4 or 5 minutes into this game, I texted Bryce. I said,
yeah, he texted me.
I texted Bryce. I said they're gonna get it. I said my panic level's rising because of how much I've been writing the Illini. My panic was there, and I knew it was coming. I mean, Bryce, you have to admit I did. And the thing is, look, I do want to say something though, not in defense of Illinois, but to make a statement about the way that the tournament handled Loyola Chicago. The tournament and the way that they handled Loyola Chicago is a complete joke. If you're the Missouri Valley, you obviously as the NCAA felt like they had a good year. The conference had a good year. You had 2 NCAA tournament teams. But here's the thing I just don't understand. Loyola Chicago was a team literally 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, that made a Final Four in the Missouri Valley. This is not a Cinderella program in recent memory. This is a good basketball program. You completely undervalued the talent of this team. Kim Pom has them as a top 10 team in the entire country. And they're a number 8 seed. A number 1 seed should not be playing Loyola Chicago in the second round. That's a shame. That's an absolute shame that a team like Loyola Chicago had to that they matched up with the number 1 seed.
Well, they were a top 25 team all season. Well, for a good part of the season.
Bryce, but your statistics are if you're a top 25 team, you should have a higher seed. Tennessee's god awful. They were 5 line. BYU's awful. They were 6 line. This is a complete joke.
It is.
It's a complete joke of the committee.
Porter Moser is a legitimate coach. He is a legitimate coach.
You think IU's going to call him for the bag?
I doubt it.
They would be dumb not to try if they don't. If they miss out on beer.
Hey, I'm with you. But again, I think it's kind of got the Archie Miller vibes in the sense that I don't know that he could recruit like that.
Maybe not. It's a good point.
So,
maybe not.
That's just me.
Maybe not. Bryce, what are your big upsets? Who did you see as some teams that you just didn't see pulling them up? I mean, Alex mentioned Oral Roberts. He mentioned, the Loyola Chicago and over Illinois. Do you have 2 different ones for that?
Yeah. My biggest one, Abilene Christian over Texas. Caleb.
Some bullcrap.
We were high on Texas. We saw them as a Final Four team, like a very possible Final Four team, and they dropped the ball. I mean, they were out hustled. Abilene Christian, they have a phenomenal defense. Here's this for data. Abilene Christian forces 20 turnovers a game. Texas had, I think the final number was 23. I mean, if you turn the ball over 23 times, game's over.
Mm-hmm. The gif of Jordan of Peele crying with like sweat and tears. That's how I felt when watching Texas lose to Abilene Christian, because I really thought that they were good. And I thought they were real. Now, the other aspect to this, and before you say your second one, I'd like to get Alex's thoughts here, because Alex, I know you and I have talked off the record multiple times about this Texas team and how they've got some prospects you like, Kai Jones and Greg Brown. And the interesting part about Greg Brown, Alex, is he did not play that much in this NCAA tournament game. He beat very limited action. Shaka did not play him. And Alex, for you, I mean, I know you're looking at this with an NBA brain as well, but at the same time, understanding of the college game. How do you think Shaka Smart handled this loss? Because I'm telling you, I think they could have won this game. I think Shaka Smart proved that he could be a potentially overrated coach.
I mean, he hasn't won in a tournament game since 2013. I'm pretty sure I saw that. So it's not, 2013, guys, Bryce and I were freshmen in high school that year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And now we've graduated college. I'm in grad school. Bryce is, moving on to bigger, better things, writing freelance stories. But in all seriousness, that's a long time ago. And yeah, if you have an NBA prospect, you owe it to the prospect's development and he's going to be one and done. You owe it to his development to have him out on the court during crunch time, because how the hell are you supposed to know if this kid has, yes, I understand Shaka Smart has no obligation to the NBA coaches, but you do have an obligation to your future recruits. Do you think, let's just say you're Imani Bates, right? And Imani Bates, I'm pretty sure, is already committed to Michigan State, and I don't think he's probably going to touch college basketball. But let's just say you're Imani Bates, and for some reason you were considering Texas. Would you want to go to Texas after seeing Greg Brown not play, after seeing Kai Jones not play? During the last few minutes?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm with you.
You have to look at it from a practical sense of, am I going to get recruits to come here? And yes, I understand college basketball coaches are incredibly conservative, so they're going to want to rely on their seniors. Yeah. Right. This is something that I think John Calipari, it's funny, he always complains about it, but the best players he recruits are always one and done guys. So what the fuck are you going to do about it?
Well, Calipari had a horrible team this year. He sucked. I feel like,
I love it.
Now here's the other aspect though, that I thought was interesting in that game, Bryce, and then I'll let you have it, is when you're looking at a team like Texas. I mean, Bryce, you and I thought Final Four was very well in their capabilities. Mm-hmm. You and I loved the backcourt, senior upperclassmen led backcourt with Coleman, with Rainey and Jones, and you and I just really believed that could get them over the top. Mm-hmm. for them not to do that, it's to be honest, it's damning because Shaka's smart. It needs to get a win for this program. He was paid to put Texas back on the map.
Yeah.
And breaking news, Texas hasn't been on the map since Kevin Durant was at Texas.
Oh, DJ Augustine.
Kevin Durant. No, look, if you think about it, though, if you genuinely think about
Miles Turner,
what's been happening, they weren't that good.
I know. I'm joking. I know.
That was a shocking year. So in my opinion, Bryce, it's a situation that needs to be addressed and needs to get figured out. Because let me tell you something right now. That's an embarrassing loss because I think they should have won the game. I think they literally beat themselves. I don't think Abilene Christian. I think Abilene Christian didn't force the issue. I think Texas just beat themselves. 20 turnovers is a joke. And then if you saw how Abilene Christian played against UCLA, which I did, then you saw them get their rear end kicked. You saw them get their rear end kicked. They were slapped pretty much. It was awful.
Can I make a counter argument?
Sure.
So we saw, right, you didn't see it because you were busy covering stuff for Indy Star, if I'm not mistaken, but I watched the Big 12 championship game, and in the free-flowing championship game between Texas and Oklahoma State, if I'm not mistaken, Texas scored 91 points. And I think this is a key factor to mid-majors winning, or to mid-majors, for the big upsets, right?
Yeah.
You need to, A, control the tempo. You need to, B, not allow offensive rebounds and fast break points. And C, you just need to not turn the ball over. And those three things will win you an upset against a bigger team that's not expecting to get punched in the mouth, right? All the games I was at this weekend, Oklahoma State, Iowa, they took their Iowa came out and punched Grand Canyon, but they didn't, they had to adjust a little bit, right? Villanova against Winthrop. Winthrop came out on a 9-0 run, if I'm not mistaken, against Villanova. And then Villanova came back and punched Winthrop right back. And then Villanova ends up winning the game. So you can't allow the teams with the size and athleticism advantage to take advantage of that. And you got to give Abilene credit. They didn't allow Texas to do that.
Yeah. Bryce, what's your second loss that was shocking to you in terms of upsets?
Yeah, so I've been doing a little freelance work, writing on some ACC teams. So I got to go with one of them here, as much as we may not like it. Who would have thought that exactly what defense they're playing, and you still lose Syracuse in that pesky 2-3 zone? Who would have thought? Syracuse flew way under the radar this year, gets into the tournament as an 11 seed. They draw San Diego State, who has some nice, talented players. They can't break the 2-3 zone. They go on to face a really tough West Virginia team. They beat them with the 2-3 zone. And guys, I got to be honest with you. I can see them in the Elite Eight. I think they have a really, really good shot against Houston. The way Rutgers played Houston, I'm kind of leaning Syracuse on this one here, guys.
Well, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. The Cuse look good.
And that's why I think they're going to lose. I think Syracuse will get to the Elite Eight and lose to Loyola Chicago because, this is what pisses me off watching teams play Syracuse. There is one surefire way to be in a 2-3 zone. And yes, I know that Boeheim runs a little bit different than a 2-3 zone.
It's aggressive.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. It's very aggressive. But Bryce, the easiest way to beat a 2-3 zone. You're a shooter. You place 4 shooters on the perimeter. You place 1 on each wing and 1 in each corner, and then you have a big man at the nail or at the elbow, wherever the guards are pressuring.
High post, baby.
Yeah, the high post. You take advantage of the high post and you kick the shooters in the corner. And what does Loyola Chicago have? Exactly the formula to beat that zone.
I agree.
And Krutwig is going to have so many assists.
Yeah.
Unbelievable how many assists he'll have.
There's a reason you can't play zone in the NBA. Yes, teams play zone, but their zones aren't usually your traditional 2-3 zone. You can't play a traditional 2-3 zone in the NBA. You're going to get cooked. Could you imagine running a 2-3 zone on the 17-18 Warriors?
Oh yeah.
With Draymond at the nail, and then you have Clay, Steph, and KD out there, and just throw a fourth average shooter out there. you're going to get cooked every single time because someone's always going to be open from three. And that's why Loyola Chicago is getting to the Final Four. Because I do think that they can beat Houston because Houston doesn't have that to me. I didn't see Houston having I think Rutgers actually would have had a better chance against Syracuse.
Dude, Rutgers played really well this tournament, and I thought they
except for the last 10 minutes of the second half.
Yes, I thought they have immense talent on that team.
Well, here's the thing that's important when referring to Syracuse and their run so far. So when you're talking about West Virginia, a team Bryce and I really liked, this exposed Bryce Culver. He needs to expand his game just a slight bit. Not, and it's totally fixable. If he can hit the free throw line jump shot, this is a different ballgame. Yeah, literally, that's a different ballgame. West Virginia wins. In fact, that is what probably would have won it for West Virginia, given how fact the game was very close, and it pretty much was. They pretty much came back. I mean, Culver being able to do that. Culver is a ridiculous big man. I think he has a chance to be really good next year if he stays. I see the idea of Loyola Chicago presenting challenges. But at the same time, though, I'll be curious to see what Houston can do. They're fast. So I think the key for Houston is this is also a team that is not afraid to get up under your skin. There's no question about that. They're going to put ball pressure. They're going to make sure Buddy Boeheim doesn't get comfortable. And I mean,
you may not
like him.
Hot.
You may not like him, but Kelvin Sampson's probably a Hall of Fame coach. And I'm not going to bet. And I'm not going to bet on. I bet against a guy like that. I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to sit there and just automatically assume that Syracuse is going to win. So.
I mean, to be fair though, everything you're saying about Houston can also be applied to Syracuse. I mean, Syracuse always has athletes. Say what you will about them, but Boeheim recruits for his zone very well. And I hate the fact that he runs the zone, but if you're going to do it, at least do it well. And he recruits, because what do you need in 2-3 zone if you're running it? You need long athletic guys. And that's that's basically what Jim Boeheim's teams always are. Like, look at the last. Don't think that defense is,
I think that defense is not as good as past 2 threes that he's had in the past, though. And I think at some point it's getting exposed. Like the team that made it in 2019 with Tyus Battle, Bryce, way better defensively. But this team's just better. This team this year is better offensively. That's all it is for me. That's all it is when watching the Qs.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you get lazy against the 2-3 zone, you could definitely get into a slump. And Syracuse, like Buddy Boeheim is playing out of his mind. He can 100%. Go on an 8-0 run. And that be the difference in the game, like because teams can get lazy against zones.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we'll transition into disappointments, which has been for a lot of teams. You can argue a lot of teams have been not great in that department. I'm going to choose. I'm going to go a different route. I am incredibly disappointed in Iowa's performance against Oregon.
I was going to say Iowa too.
I think it is a shame that they got their rear end kicked against Oregon. I think it is a shame. I don't care that people thought Oregon could get red hot in the second half of the season. I don't care. It is ridiculously embarrassing that they got blown out the way they did. Blown out. It is a dang shame that, and it's again, it is horrible that McCaffrey has never been horrible. That McCaffrey's never led an Iowa team to the Sweet 16. That is horrible. And the other factor to this is how many teams, and Bryce, this is a question I have for you to ponder as I'm saying this point. I don't know if Fran McCaffrey will ever have a better team than this team. Ever. He had the National Player of the Year come to Iowa. I mean, you're just not likely to get that all the time. Guys aren't walking through that door. Not to mention, Alex, you and I had conversations off the record. Bohannon and Wieskamp are fantastic. They're fantastic role players. How many times can Iowa get you guys know what I mean, a top 3 like that? How many times? Because I'm going to say very little. I was incredibly disappointed in them. I thought they could have been so much better. And to be honest with you, I'm disappointed in Tennessee. I'm disappointed in Tennessee for getting their butts absolutely kicked. Keon Johnson, Jaden Springer, what are you doing? Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer really looked lost. And I think that's a big concern. If I'm an NBA scout, Springer couldn't create off the bounce against an Oregon State team that I feel like he should have done on.
Did Oregon State play Oklahoma State?
Oklahoma State played Liberty.
Okay,
in the first round. And so, when talking about that, for me, I was disappointed to see. I didn't think they'd get their butts kicked like that. Now, I understand Fulkerson was out, and this team has been inconsistent offensively,
but make a difference.
But they should have been better, Bryce. You shouldn't have gotten schooled like that. They were demolished from the opening tip. That's a bad loss for a team that's been top 20 all year long. That's a really bad loss. What are you guys in terms of disappointments? And I'll start with Bryce on this one.
I think let me preface it by saying this. I wasn't shocked by the loss. I was more shocked in the way they lost. Okay. I was shocked about how poorly Kansas looked against USC. I mean, we're talking about a 34-point loss. Like, they didn't even belong. And if you want to say, oh, well, Jalen Wilson, he showed up the morning of 30. He's a 34-point difference. I don't think so. I don't think so. And the Mobley brothers just feasted. And McCormick got exposed for the player that he truly is. We knew he wasn't that great. He got absolutely exposed.
Kansas got torched by brothers this weekend. Kansas got torched.
Yeah, they did. They did. And Caleb, I know we had talked about the Mobley brothers, and you hated on Evans, the older brother there. It told him to quit shooting the ball, but I'll tell you what, he shot the ball and he shot well. He shot really, really well.
If you're gonna shoot like that, if you're gonna go between the legs 3-point jump shots and make them, well, hey, good for you. I just know in the Pac-12 tournament, this was just it was bad. He was really bad.
And they beat your Drake boys.
That is what it is. I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
Drake.
I knew that was coming. Alex, we'll go to you. Do you have a big one from disappointments that we haven't talked about from previous?
I was just disappointed that Eastern Washington didn't win. I was at that game, and they should have beaten Kansas. Like, you talk about the brother that doesn't normally shoot. So Jacob Groves, right? Tanner Groves became a folk hero on Twitter this weekend, right? Like, he kind of looks like Bill Walton did. If you ever see that iconic photo of Bill Walton in the on the Trailblazers, was that's kind of what Tanner Groves looked like. But his brother Jacob Groves came into the game averaging about 8 points a game, and they let him score 23. And he was on fire from 3, and his career high was 16. So he blew his career high out of the water with like 15 minutes left in the second half. He had 16 points in the first half.
Yeah,
they came out swinging, Eastern Washington, and eventually the athleticism overwhelmed everybody but Tanner Groves. Tanner Groves finished with 35 points on like crazy good efficiency. Like, he was really, really special from the field, from 3 and from inside. He was, listen, and Bryce, to go off of what you were saying, once I saw the Groves brothers torch Kansas the way they did, and then I saw the final score of the USC game, I was like, adds up. Because if they couldn't stop the Groves brothers, how the hell are they going to stop Evan Mobley, who's going to be the second pick in the draft?
Oh, you're calling second, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Behind Cade?
Yes, definitely behind Cade.
Yeah, baby. Cade Cunningham.
And I think Suggs or Jalen Green, the kid from G League Ignite, they're going to be competing for 3. But
there you go.
Yeah, once I turned on the Kansas game, right? I tried to watch all the teams I covered in the first round the last couple days. And I turned on the Kansas game, and I see Isaiah Mobley going off, and I'm like, okay, I'm just turning this game off.
Yeah, you know it's over if Isaiah's going.
And then Caleb we talk about the Ohio State element of it, but 4 Florida shit the bed pretty bad against Oral Roberts too.
Yeah, they did. They did. We don't talk about that, do we?
No, yes, obviously the obvious angle here is the troll Bryce, which Caleb, I respect.
Ridiculous.
But Florida did not. Florida had a lead with a good amount of time left. I can't remember the exact details, but Florida choked the end of that game. Like Florida did not perform well in crunch time at all. And O'Banner, the guy for Oral Roberts, he played out of his mind.
Sure did.
Florida, I guess I would say is a disappointment. And then Rutgers should have been in the Sweet 16. And
yeah, I would have loved that.
The end of that game. Like, no excuse losing that basketball game. Absolutely none. And those are my disappointments.
Offensive shot creating is a problem for Rutgers all season. I personally wasn't surprised that they couldn't get it when they needed. Now, the team that I think somehow none of us talked about, but I feel like has to be talked about. A total shame that Purdue lost to North Texas. A shame.
I agree.
The fact that they lost to North Texas is just awful. It's awful. They came into that game acting like from the opening tip they're going to be fine. Oh, we're going to do this. They must have
read Greg
breaking. They might have, I don't know what they did, but they obviously put themselves on a pedestal and didn't look at North Texas as a serious threat.
Can I make a controversial statement?
Sure.
Are we ready to have the same conversation about Matt Painter that we're having with Shaka Smart?
No, because
I'm just saying.
Because they completely they went way better than everybody thought.
I mean,
nobody thought Jaden Ivey was going to be this good.
They made the Elite Eight like 2 years ago.
I'm just saying.
Bryce, that's bad. That's bad.
I mean, Shaka Smart hasn't done anything since they made the Final Four. Really?
Well, when BCU, is that what you're saying? When he made it to BCU? Because in Texas he's been horrible. Now, the key for Purdue to me is, they need a third scorer. This team needed a third scorer. Jaden Ivey came out and had a great game with 26 points and he shot 24 times.
He played extremely well.
That is a lot, though. I don't like 24 times, and I definitely don't like 4 for 12 from 3. Williams had 14 and 13. It felt like he could eat alive, but my goodness, somebody's got to give me a third scorer in Purdue, man. Somebody's got to step up. I thought that was Aaron Wheeler.
Now Aaron Wheeler's on his way out.
You're right. He's out. And Stefanovic, seriously, 5 shots.
Miss me with Stefanovic.
3 threes. Really? He's a hot sharpshooter. He should have been looking to be aggressive. That's what he brings. That's what he brings to the court. Javion Hamlet took that team apart. That Florida game was nasty. And I'm telling you, I thought that was a really bad performance. For me, that was a disappointment. I thought we would have been getting a Purdue and Baylor matchup in the Sweet 16. I felt really confident in that, and it didn't happen. Now, as we move into what we're seeing for this coming weekend, the bracket is, not what everybody expected. Certainly not anything like, anybody really could have thought. It was just complete and total chaos. And so real quick here, we'll give you the rundown on what is happening in the Sweet 16. So Oregon State will play Loyola Chicago. And then we have none other than Villanova playing Baylor in a game that'll be very interesting. You got Arkansas against Oral Roberts. You're going to have a matchup with Syracuse and Houston on Saturday. We'll start with the Saturday games first. Bryce, we talked about it a little bit, but I really want you to touch in on the Oral Roberts and Arkansas games. We talked about Syracuse and Houston. We talked about Loyola Chicago. Talking about Oral Roberts and Arkansas, because Arkansas has got some legitimate talent. Alex, I want you to comment on this after Bryce. Arkansas has got some threats. Moses Moody is not a joke. Justin Smith, since he's moved to the 5 spot, has unlocked a very different Arkansas team and a team to me that seems like they're going to roll past Oral Roberts. Is there any pushback from you on that? Can Oral Roberts get by Arkansas, or do you think Arkansas is going to get it going? Because they're going to have a lot of time to prep for Oral Roberts, and I think that's important.
Yeah, I mean it's I think it'll be an interesting matchup. I think Arkansas now has enough. This is kind of when you see some of these teams taper off because they know how to defend them. And I mean, let's be honest about Oral Roberts. They're a two-man show. It's O'Banner and A. Smith. Did I say that right?
Yes.
No, that was money. We got that one. We got that one.
You got it.
All right. I mean, it's a two-man show. I mean, Arkansas is full of athletes. I think they have the better coach. What Eric Musselman has done with Arkansas.
Heck yeah.
And
Heck yeah.
Look, I gotta say, all right, I was very down on Arkansas. I didn't think that they were.
You need to take an L on Arkansas. You need to take an L there.
Sure. I'll take your L. I'll take your L. Fine.
You need to get sacked for that.
Oh, come on.
Give him the sack.
Thank you, Alex.
You guys want to know what the line is for this game?
I have it pulled up.
You do? Oh, AB already knows.
Give me the line.
All right, Arkansas by 11. Woo! And you know what? Honestly, I would probably take that because I think this is going to be. Wow. I think this is not a game I'm honestly looking forward to because I think it's going to be that. I think Arkansas is going to be in this game. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to defend a two-man game. It really is.
Okay.
I mean, name me one other person on Oral Roberts except O'Banner and A. Smith.
That's going to do any big damage.
You can't do it. Well, you can't do it.
No,
you can't. And so, I mean, that's my thing. So I think Arkansas is going to roll. Moody has been great. They've been playing really good team ball, really intense. I got to hand it to them. Arkansas has been playing well. So I'll see you in the Elite Eight, Arkansas.
Wow. He's already booking the trip. Alex, what's your perspective here on Arkansas? And really, you're looking at this from such a different lens. Obviously, you're covering these games and you're taking a look. But Alex, I know you're your love for Moses Moody this year. I know you've really liked his talents.
He to me is a surefire top 10 pick. I am not hesitating.
Whoa.
So, okay, here's the thing, right?
He loves Moody, Bryce. He loves him. Here you go.
He's the rare combination of high floor and high ceiling. I think he can do so much on a floor to help winning. He would help a handful of it. He would help the Pacers right now. He would help a lot of teams that are trying to get in the playoffs right now. Like, if the Pacers ended up with, let's just say they missed the playoffs somehow, which I don't think is really possible. I think they'll somehow crawl their way in. But let's just say they end up with, the 12th pick, right? If Moses Moody is there and they don't take him, Kevin Pritchard is getting the sack, okay? He can. Wow. He's a 3-and-D player. He can create his own shot. I don't really see what the downside is in the NBA draft if you're getting a guy like Moses Moody. I really failed to see the downside there. I think he's going to come in and be a NBA impact player right away. He's not this guy, because I think this guy that I'm going to say was a lot better coming out of Villanova than he was, but it's kind of the Mikal Bridges archetype of role player, right? Where he's going to come in and he's going to be impactful right away. He's going to play defense. He's going to make threes. And then you can add on to the game. And Mikal Bridges right now is probably Phoenix's third best player, and Phoenix is the second best team in the West. So
I do think Moody's got a really good offense. I'd take Moody's offensive game over Bridges. Am I crazy for that?
Probably not. I mean, Bridges, right? Coming out of Villanova, I would probably say,
college.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you take Moody. But right now, Bridges is just a complete offensive player. Not in terms of he can't create his own shot super well, but he can do basically everything else. But yeah, Moody to me, if he falls past the lottery, I'll be absolutely shocked. He probably killed a man or something because he's that good.
Oh wow, interesting.
I think that
Bryce, he loves Moody. I did not lead that wrong.
Get a room, AB.
You want to book it at the Hampton?
Go ahead. But because Caleb told me I think it was during the SEC Big 12 Challenge, because I wanted to watch Oklahoma State and I hadn't caught much college this year. And they were playing Arkansas. And yes, obviously Cade stands out every time you're watching him. But to me, so this is something that I try to do when I watch basketball, right? I try to find the person who stands out. Like when I was watching Illinois, the guy who stood out was Io, right? Sure. That dude stands out every time you see him on a court. He's very notable. I mean, he did not play well, but Caleb, I'm sure it's hard to deny, even when he was struggling, he stood out because he felt like he was always in the action.
All over it. Yeah.
And by contrast, a guy like Luka Garza doesn't stand out because it feels like he's like, goes with the flow. And you don't want, like, unless you're like an absolute, like, unless you're Danny Green, you don't want to go with the flow. You want to stand out. You want to be like diving on the floor for loose balls and stuff like that.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's why I love Moody. And I don't really know much about the rest of the Arkansas team, but I'm confident with a week of scouting reports that they'll blow out Oral Roberts.
Well, Bryce, let's get into that, because the thing with Arkansas in this game, in my opinion, the matchup to watch is Justin Smith against Kevin O'Banner. That's the matchup. There's no question about it. Both guys are experienced front court pieces. Justin Smith has been this small ball 5, and he's kicking butt doing it.
Oh, phenomenal.
Bryce, you want to talk about a player that has just made an incredible decision. For him to leave Indiana, it's unlocked him. It's unlocked him. And really, to be honest, since he's left Archie, if we're going to be frank. And so I'll let you take it from here, because I do think that matchup's going to be big.
Yeah, Justin Smith is another guy that I'm not saying he's a lottery pick, but I think that could get with a team in the NBA and play some legitimate minutes. I mean, I agree. He is athletic as all get out. He can score the basketball and play lockdown defense. So I think that's going to be a really interesting match. I mean, O'Banner is so good. I mean, stretch 5, his movement he can shoot it, but his lateral and vertical movements aren't the best. So I think Justin Smith will be able to handle him. I think this is going to be the best defender that O'Banner has seen all tournament, if I'm being completely honest. Like EJ Liddell,
over EJ.
Yeah, Liddell had a really weird game, and Zed Key when Zed Key got in. I mean, we're playing a true freshman.
Don't mention Zed Key. Don't mention Zed Key.
He'll be good. We got to give him some time here. He's a true freshman.
Right.
Come on.
Okay. Well, we'll move on into we were able to talk Oregon State. Actually, no, we didn't talk Oregon State. I'll talk Oregon State, even though I don't like it.
Yeah, because you need to take an L. No. You need to take an L on this, because you said, "Oh, miss me with Oregon State." I don't care that they're super hot right now. No. You apologize to Oregon State. Give them their props. They're about to get railed this weekend, but it's fine.
I apologize.
Yeah, baby.
To the Oregon State Beavers.
The Beavers.
I don't like how they play. I don't like the way that they are, but
they beat our boy Cade. They beat our boy Cade.
Yeah, that hurt. In all seriousness, I do think that'll be an interesting game between Loyola. They're still playing hot. I mean, there's no question about that. Jordan Lucas is playing well. Silva's been giving them great insight.
Silva's been very good.
And then the other factor to me, in looking at these games is Villanova and Baylor, a game that everybody's keeping their eye on. We haven't really talked about it all that much. Villanova, a team that, has faced Winthrop and North Texas. I mean, they dominate and they figured it out. They've gotten to the Sweet 16. Baylor, meanwhile,
freight train is
playing Baylor basketball, even though Wisconsin found a way to, kind of push a little bit in the second half. Not much, but just kind of gave them like the, oh crap, I still got to play. I think that helped Baylor, because I think they're going to know that it's a 40-minute game. And I know that sounds weird, but to tell you the truth, you can't let off the gas pedal. You just can't do it. I think Baylor knows that after getting by Wisconsin. You guys, I mean, I know, Alex, you covered Villanova. Okay, so I want you to cover in on Villanova. Bryce, you and I have been on Baylor all freaking year.
We still have the room booked.
We do, and I'm definitely not giving it up. I think they're going to do really well in this game. I like them a lot over Villanova. I think Mitchell and Butler are going to go off with the pressure. What I'm really curious in, though, is how they're going to defend Jeremiah Robinson. I am very curious for that, because Vital is a chess piece, 6'4", but he's got some strength to him. So if you let the height get to you, breaking news, Vital can outwork him. With strength, while Robinson Earl is about as skilled can get. Alex, I know you covered Villanova. You really liked what Earl did. And another piece I wanted you to talk about, a couple pieces actually, is Justin Moore and Jermaine Samuels. Samuels was on that championship team in Villanova when they took over North Carolina. He was a freshman at the time. Alex, what do you see from this Villanova team, and how can they present challenges to number 1 seeded Baylor?
So I don't remember how much Samuels did against Winthrop. I think he hit a couple threes.
I like Samuels.
Which I mean is always important. So Baylor's favored by -6.5, or they're favored by 6.5, right? I would guess that Villanova is going to cover because Villanova, they're very solid. They're a very patient team. So, what happened against Winthrop was Winthrop probably would have beaten most other 5 seeds, I would have to gather, because Winthrop was very good. But what happened to Winthrop was, so they had this guy, DJ Burns, right? Like really basically Zebo, not as good, right? Like 6'9", like 260, just really dominant inside. Like he was babying Robinson Earl at some point, right? Like he was really taking it to him. And it just didn't matter because they got him in foul trouble. And as soon as they got him in foul trouble, Winthrop didn't have anyone else to guard him, and Robinson Earl just started dominating because there was no equivalent size other than the point guard for Winthrop, and he's like 6'7", 200.
Chandler Vaudrin, right? Yeah.
Chandler Vaudrin is a very good basketball player, and I think his career is done, which sucks because I love watching that dude. He throws the weirdest passes I've ever seen. But yeah, Robinson Earl, I think, is very talented, and if you don't have the size to match up with him, he's going to score over you. He's very skilled. Yeah. He can get his shots however he wants. He's very good on both ends. So I don't know a whole lot about Baylor, but I would still say Baylor's going to win. But my guess is that Villanova's going to cover. Like Justin Moore, too. He's very good. So Justin Moore is a very solidifying presence for that team. It's funny. They find another archdiacono. Apparently archdiaconos grow on trees and they go to Villanova. So
dude, for real.
I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll make it competitive for sure.
Bryce, what you got here between Baylor and Villanova?
It's a freight train. Baylor's going to roll. I don't need to say anything else. Villanova has been very fortunate.
All right. Okay. Moving on to Sunday's games: Gonzaga, Creighton, Florida State, Michigan, UCLA, Alabama, Oregon, USC. And we'll start with Creighton and Gonzaga. Creighton is a red-hot shooting team. I thought UC Santa Barbara was beating them. And
yeah, take an L on that. Take an L on that.
No, they got close. I'm not taking an L
on that. Zagorowski, baby.
Good luck in this game, though.
Oh no, they're gonna get destroyed.
I mean,
rolling.
Here's the thing for me though with Gonzaga is I covered them in their first round. Good luck for Creighton stopping Timmy.
Oh, that's dude, Timmy is.
I mean, because they don't have enough size. Even if Creighton wants to get that offensive firepower and go with the guard lineup of, Zagorowski and Mahoney and all these guys, like you don't have enough. If you rank, I heard this from Rob Douster. It's a terrific point. If you said, okay, which point guard are you taking? Zagorowski or Suggs? Which shooting guard? Which small forward? Which power forward? Which center? Literally, you would go all Gonzaga. That's why I think Gonzaga wins this game. It could be an exciting offensive battle. I just can't fully go there. No. Bryce, how do you see this game?
Jalen Suggs, Drew Timme, Andrew Nembhard, Corey Kispert. Need I say more? Give me Gonzaga big. The line's 13.5. I'll take that.
Right. And then Alex, I know that you're looking for Suggs in this game against Zagorowski, one of the better point guards in the country. This is a good matchup for him because he's going to have to play all 40 minutes on both offense and defense.
I mean, if they blow him out, if the final score is, 14 points or more, I don't think he'll play all 40 minutes. I think that, listen, when I watch Gonzaga, and it admittedly hasn't been a whole lot, but Corey Kispert's always the guy that stands out. That dude is going to hop in the NBA. He's going to shoot 45% from three.
It's a cliche comp, but he's Joe Harris. He's another Joe Harris.
Joe Harris, Duncan Robinson, those guys are getting paid now. So, he's going to be a lottery pick. And Timmy is very good. Suggs is obviously going to be a top 3 pick. I mean, why would I roll with Creighton here?
Why you wouldn't roll with Creighton? There you go.
Why would I roll with Creighton? That's what I said.
That's what you said. Moving forward, Florida State against Michigan, a game that many have their eyes on. Michigan's the number 1 seed. Florida State's the number 4. Guys, this has got some real good basketball waiting to happen. Michigan, number 1 seed. I mean, honestly, barely gets by LSU. Florida State comes in and has whacked. I mean, UNC Greensboro, they had to make a little stretch in the second half to get by him, but they got him. They beat Colorado. And Bryce, I know I've talked to you about a Boyle. I think he's a good coach, and I think McKinley Wright is one of the better players in the country, and they came out and dominated him. Give me an upset.
Really?
I think the Seminoles beat. I think the Seminoles beat them. I think they have the package to do it.
Big shout out, Leonard Hamilton.
The reason why, and he's a part of it. I trust Hamilton over Howard. And I believe this is a game that it doesn't look like Livers is going to play. I don't know if anybody really knows that. It just doesn't look like it. I mean, if Livers doesn't play, Florida State's going to get a lot going their way. Raekwon Gray is a matchup nightmare. MJ Walker gets buckets. Guys like Johns for Michigan, Bryce, can he really stick with Gray and Osborne and all these other guys? I don't know. I trust Hamilton. I am, though, Alex. I am looking for Scotty Barnes. I was particularly disappointed in his first couple NCAA tournament games. I know you've really liked Barnes as this point forward type of guy coming into the draft. Fun fact, Alex, Scotty Barnes played with Cade Cunningham in high school. Fun little fact for you. Cade Cunningham played with Moses Moody and Scotty Barnes in high school. You think that team was a good? In all seriousness, what are you seeing from Scotty Barnes, and how do you think he's going to present issues for Michigan? Because his ability as the point forward is something that everybody wanted to keep their eyes on. The problem is he hasn't stepped up to the spotlight.
Well, I mean, I haven't watched a whole lot of Florida State, but I know not a criticism, but just an observation people have about Leonard Hamilton is that he doesn't play his big recruits a whole lot. You know, Jonathan Isaac famously did not play a whole lot when he was at Florida State, and Jonathan Isaac Jonathan Isaac is now in the NBA, and like almost immediately was one of the NBA's best defensive players.
Right.
So I think that, listen, if he plays 30 minutes roundabouts, that's fine. I mean, he plays 25 minutes a game for the season. I don't really know how much more you could ask for. If Leonard Hamilton doesn't trust freshmen, then he just doesn't trust freshmen. But I mean, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists a game in 24 minutes. That's pretty good. So give me, I'm not going to say who's going to win this game. I'll just boo. No, you know what?
Come on, Alex, give me a prediction.
Big frauds, Florida State to the Elite Eight.
Woo! All right.
That's what I'm talking about.
I like
Bryce,
it.
what you got in that matchup?
So I actually thought LSU was going to – I told you, Caleb, and we talked about it before. We thought LSU could really beat Michigan. Like, the athletes they have are just great. But, yeah, I agree with you. I need to see more from Scotty Barnes. I want to see him take over a game. Yeah, MJ Walker, do your thing. Raekwon Gray, do your thing. Osborne, do your thing. And I think you're going to get a good shot to win.
Blaz has been big for Florida State, Bryce.
Yes, he has.
He's been huge.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
To me, a lot of people are saying, but they're not going to have a size advantage. They're not going to be able to take on Dickinson. You guys,
no,
Florida, they're going to do just fine with Blaza. He's 7'1".
Absolutely.
He's 7'1". He's not a joke.
Yeah, Dickinson is good, right? But I think he'll struggle inside. And Michigan just finds a way to win. Like they're a good team.
Yeah,
Juwan Howard is a good coach.
Come on, Bryce.
I am leaning Michigan right now.
There you go.
And I hate it. I don't feel like they're going to face a harder team in Florida State. I think LSU is probably the hardest team that they face.
Get out over Florida State?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my
and
gosh.
You know what? If Trendon Wofford has a little bit better game, LSU wins that game.
Shut up.
True.
That's so ridiculous.
How is that ridiculous?
The way you're talking about this game, that's ridiculous. You're underestimating Leonard Hamilton as a coach. That's number one.
I'm not.
No, yes, you are. You're being ridiculous. You're being ashamed. I thought after all you would have been an Ohio State homer and then come out here and put it on the record that Florida State was going to beat Michigan, and you didn't do it. and you didn't do it.
I
What
would
a
love
shame.
nothing more than for them to lose. I just don't think it's going to happen this round.
What a shame.
Whatever.
Meanwhile, UCLA and Alabama play in the third game, and let's just be clear here. Alabama's blowing the doors off.
No,
not they're gonna come in and blow the doors off of the Bruins. I just don't see this game. I don't see this game being anything. I see Bama coming in and just doing their thing. They've been red hot offensively. I think UCLA would. I think Bama will win. I think their offense will play like, they're going through the roof. I think UCLA can make it competitive. I just give me Bama over UCLA. I like Shackelford. I like Petty. And I think Herb Jones. I think UCLA doesn't have an answer for Herb Jones.
Fantastic.
Even though Herb Jones has been in foul trouble, though. And that's a problem.
He's got to clean that up. Hey,
so Bryce, take it away here. What's your thoughts?
I like Mick Cronin. I like Mick Cronin a lot. I think he's ahead of schedule with this UCLA program.
Well, I like Oates.
Yeah, and Oates is another guy that's great. I like Bama in this game. I don't know if it'll be a blowout. It could be.
It has a chance.
It has the chance to be a blowout.
I think you're holding me to blowout. I said it can be somewhat competitive. I'm just saying I think the offense can get going. That's all. I think the offense can get going and be that. I'm not going to sit here and go, Bama's going to win by 30. I'm just saying it's got the chance to come out here and be a blowout.
Hey, AB, I have a question for you. Have you watched much Alabama basketball?
I have not. And when I turned on the Alabama game yesterday, it wasn't worth watching. So
okay, fair enough. Because I was going to ask you as far as draft prospects go. That's okay. Well, you'll know of them soon.
You will. You'll know Bama. You'll know him.
I'm going to watch this weekend. And when I forgot who shared it to our group chat, but Alabama out-rebounded Maryland by like 40.
Yes.
Yep. And I'm looking at their sports reference page right now.
Of course.
And Alabama's the 8th best rebounding team in the whole country.
That's not shocking.
And they are the 26th best offense in the country. So, I mean, that's a winning formula right there. You score and you rebound. Guys, there's not much else left to do in basketball. So give me the Crimson Tide, even though it's War Eagle for life. Fuck Alabama.
Shout out JD.
Shout out JD, but fuck Alabama.
Alex definitely bringing the explicit content under the spot. Look, the way that I see it, I think Oates has found something, Bryce. I mean, I really do. I like the way that he coaches. This is a very fun and very exciting team. And the way that they played against Maryland, I covered that. Oh my gosh, that was fun. I mean, they can put up points like nobody's business when they get going. And their defensive identity, I think, is just huge. And that's why I personally have Bama over UCLA. And the next, Alex, I'll just start with you on this. You're basically you have a room at the embassy, room 502, with Evan Mobley this season and his drop coverage in the pick and roll. You've had an eventful ride with Mobley. And now here he is against the Oregon Ducks in the Conference of Champions as your big homer, Bill Walton. You're a big Bill Walton guy. I know that, Alex. So I'm giving you the credit here by starting off with talking about 2 Conference of Champion teams in USC and Oregon.
3 in a row. The Conference of Champions.
More, please.
The Conference of Champions really dominating this NCAA tournament here.
Move on. I don't need more Bill, please.
No. So, okay. I love the way Oregon played against Iowa. But I think the reason it worked against Iowa is because Garza is a lumbering center. Mobley would not be the second overall pick in the draft were he a lumbering center. So they're going to have to change their approach. And by my count, the teams have only played once this year. And USC beat them 72-58.
Yep.
I do think that the second time around always is in the advantage of the team that lost the first time. So I would probably lean Oregon. With that being said, I think this is going to be a very high scoring game. I think
I can see that.
This is going to be, paces through the roof. It's going to be like a Big 12 football game. Like, okay, just absolutely, mixing my sports references there, but it's going to be absolutely explosive. I mean, you just have a ton of offensive talent on both sides.
Yep.
I mean, Isaiah Mobley went off against Kansas. Their guard, I don't remember their guard's name, but you guys probably know USC's guard name. And
Todd Gidi.
Yeah, they just have both sides have a ton of offensive talent. I really love the way Duarte played against Iowa. They have a lot of they have like 4 other guys averaging, I think, at least 16 a game. So yeah, I'd probably lean Oregon, but I think it's going to be close. Let's see who's favored. So USC is favored by 1. So they're basically saying it's a toss up. So yeah, give me Oregon.
Wow. I definitely didn't expect that. Bryce, what do you like in this game?
Well, I mean, we got the Mobley brothers on one side, and we have Dana Altman's squad. I mean, who I think they can score in many different ways. USC is a little more.
Duarte can play, and Eugene Omarui is
my goodness.
I mean, Alex, I think you would fall in love. You would fall in love.
Yes, he would.
You would fall in love with Eugene Omarui. You would sit there. You would sit there watching him. I really hope you see him.
It's the late one, so
and identify him on the court. Number 2. Okay, Alex, number 2, you would love this guy. Bryce, continue.
Give me Oregon in this game, though. I love Dana Altman. Dana Altman is a great tournament coach. I mean, when we think about Oregon, right? I mean, we see Oregon overachieve in the tournament time and time again. So give me Oregon in this game. I think they beat USC.
Yeah, I'll go the other way. Give me USC.
For what reason?
I don't think they can handle Mobley. That's number 1, and particularly Evan. I think Isaiah.
He just handled the National Player of the Year, Luka Garza.
But everything Alex said, no, they didn't. 39. He had 39 in that game. Mobley, to me, Evan Mobley's playing really well, and USC has some really good shooting. And when both the Mobley brothers get going, it's a better basketball team. Taj Edey is a really nice little lead guard. Andrew Peterson, the transfer from Rice, has been a really good knockdown shooter. I like Isaiah White a lot. And don't get me wrong, I like the Ducks. Will Richardson's good, Duarte's good, and Omarui and LJ Figueroa, transferred from St. John's, has given them some great minutes from that 4-5 position. But I just personally I like USC, and I think USC has the best player on the floor. So, and that's it, But go ahead, Alex.
I looked at the box score because I knew we would get around to this game eventually. It's called preparation, folks. Taj Edey had 24 in that game, and Evan Mobley had 11. So I obviously didn't watch the game, but I don't know if this was just a case of Taj Edey having the hot hand, or if it was a case of
he's good
of Mobley. Good. But let me I don't have the box score pulled up, but I mean,
he's been underappreciated since he's gotten there.
If Mobley scores less than 15 points, Oregon definitely wins. Again, I think Mobley, this is the time where you need to take this team, because Kansas was just dealing with too much stuff, and they couldn't handle it, right? Because McCormick wasn't looking like himself. McCormick needed a breath of wind to come back and beat Eastern Washington. Jalen Wilson just came back. Yeah, he came to Indy on Sunday. Or did they play yesterday? I don't remember. But
yes, they played yesterday. Yes.
So he got to Indy Monday morning. So yeah, it makes sense that they blew out Kansas. But I think from here on out, with the quality competition they're facing, because if they win, they're going to face Gonzaga. He's going to need to score, 15 in this game, and then probably 30 in the next game if they want to win.
Andy Enfield is a ridiculously you guys are underrating Andy Enfield.
Yeah, I am.
This was a guy that came in here and is coached well. He was a good coach for Florida Gulf Coast. He got him in the Sweet 16, and then ever since he's gotten the job at USC, he's done well in the NCAA tournament. Like, I definitely believe that USC has the capability to go in here and win. I'm not saying that Oregon doesn't have they can't, but I just feel like if you have the best player on the floor, you're going to win. I cannot believe you guys are going against the grain on me with Mobley. Evan Mobley has a matchup that Oregon can't counter. They don't have a guy taller than 6'6".
But they'll just use the same thing that they did against Luka Garza.
They can't.
Yes, they can.
No, they can't. They can't use the same game plan. Alex, come on, give it to them.
They're the same team.
Well, Mobley's not Garza. Garza can't move. I don't think even if Oregon played, I don't think if Oregon played Loyola, I don't think they could have done that. But what they can do, and this is where I want to go with this, Caleb, is the best. In the NBA, yes, the best player you can get away with winning, right? Like if you have LeBron James and 4 scrubs, you can get away with winning against an average to good team, right? But let's just stick with the NBA. Look what happened when LeBron and 4 scrubs played against the 2015 Warriors, right? LeBron had one of the all-time best basketball series ever, and he couldn't lift the team. Now let's go back to college basketball. So Oregon State mucked up the game against Oklahoma State I looked up the box score, right? Cade and Avery Anderson combined to shoot 9 for 32. Okay. And no one else on Oklahoma State was a threat to beat them. They took the best player out of the game and made the other players beat them. And in college basketball, this is a viable strategy to win a game. And yes, USC is more dangerous than that. But I feel like Oregon has as good of scorers at all 5 spots. And you guys were feigning shock. You guys were shocked that Isaiah Mobley was actually stepped up and put in a good scoring load against Kansas.
It's the truth.
So I'm not saying that USC should be or Oregon should be favored by 10, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Oregon wins comfortably. Just because they have a lot of talent all over the floor. Not a lot of college teams can say they have 5 guys who can make shots on the floor at any given time. So, yeah,
that's a good point.
I'm going to roll with Oregon.
Me and AB are right. That's all that matters.
Okay. All right. But here's the thing. I've been big on Altman. I like the way that he coaches and he knows how to win. I understand that. And I like the players that they have. I've seen both teams. I know what both teams are capable of. As far as I'm concerned, when talking about a team like USC, Evan, the other thing that I think you guys have ignored is the fact that Evan Mobley was the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, and he's an amazing defender.
Okay, but can he guard all 5 guys?
Yes, he's going to try. He's literally going to be able to guard versatile enough. He's going to be versatile enough to guard guys. Oregon. Garza just sits there in the paint. He sits there in the strict area. He drops all the time. Mobley has more versatility.
But I can't wait to destroy you next week.
Okay, let me rebut before, because I think we're practically done after this.
Yes,
I think that what you're underestimating is that in college, most of the time, right? Again, going back to Oklahoma State, you shut down one guy, you can shut down the whole team. You can't do that with Oregon. Oregon has.
I'm not saying that though.
The reason they beat Iowa is going to be completely different reason than why they beat USC. Because Oregon, they just had the spacing advantage over Iowa, right? Iowa just couldn't defend in space against them because Garza's a lumbering galoot. Mobley's obviously not that, but at the same time, you can only do so much on defense on a basketball court by yourself. And if you
100%.
If you let a rotation slip, Oregon can make you pay. I just think that they are too versatile on offense to not pick them against USC.
All right. Look, I'm not saying the Ducks can't do it. I'm just saying I like USC a lot, and I think they've got a lot of talent. I think they're really good, and we'll see what happens. And with that being said, this will conclude the preview of the Sweet 16 Elite 8-ish podcast. You guys, this has been incredible. Devin Boss is coming on next week. For the pod. It should be a good one. Alex, take it away first. You're over the top.
I'm saying we should name our final 4 teams before we go, because that will be.
Oh man,
that'll be. The next pod,
so as of this moment, Alex, who do you have?
I have Loyola Chicago coming out of the Midwest.
Wow.
I'm going to take Baylor coming out of the South.
Okay.
I'm going to take Gonzaga coming out of the West.
Okay.
And then I think I'm going to take Alabama coming out of the East.
Ooh, okay.
It will be a close game between Florida State and Alabama, but the important thing is that the big frauds are the big frauds. So,
Bryce?
It's facts. Give me Baylor and Gonzaga. I think that's a foregone conclusion. I would
Three number ones?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Bama as well.
Wow. Okay.
I think Michigan's gonna slip up on one of these games. Like I said, I'm leaning Michigan over Florida State, but I wouldn't be shocked if they lost. I mean, it really comes down to Loyola and Syracuse. I mean, they're both like they're both good stories. Like they're both, playing extremely well right now. I think Loyola just has the mix too, man. It's AB. It's hard to disagree with you, man. I mean, we're seeing the same stuff.
I'll go heavy chalk. I'll go with the Gonzaga and the Baylor.
Okay.
I'll go Houston. I just like their fire.
No, disgusting.
And then I'll take the Seminoles in the Final Four.
Okay.
I'll take the Seminoles.
So
I don't hate it.
No.
I really strongly believe that Loyola Chicago's coming out of the Midwest just because
they might. Sometimes you got to be different, though, Alex.
Michigan, Houston. Kelvin Sampson shouldn't be allowed back in the state. It is a disgrace that they allowed him to play his game in Assembly Hall. Just an absolute disgrace.
I thought it was perfect. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Well, that could be the conclusion of this pod. Once again, thank you, Alex, for coming on, and Bryce. It's a privilege.
Yeah, can I plug a Power Hour real quick?
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
So for Power Hour, so we're redoing our teams because it just makes sense. But instead of going through like the granular details like we did the first time around, we're gonna go through the teams and look at the big picture questions. Like, is LeBron James the MVP? We're not asking that question, but we're gonna look at like the big picture question. Like, does Luka Doncic have what it takes in the playoffs? Like that was a question we asked last week. So this week our teams are gonna be the Brooklyn Nets, the Sacramento Kings, and the New Orleans Pelicans. So go check that out if you want to listen to some in-depth basketball NBA analysis on teams that might be picking some of these two teams that could end up picking Cade or Mobley or Suggs. So check that out.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Nice little transition. And with that being said, this is the conclusion of LynnSanity.